Yesterday, Sayadaw explained that a lazy, indolent person is mixed with three kinds of wrongful thoughts, and because the person indulges in these wrongful thoughts, the person's physical, verbal, physical, verbal, and mental behavior is blameworthy, rude, gross, burning, and suffering. And also, the person's behavior by body, speech, and mind is disgusting. What is important is the lazy, indolent person is losing morality, and also the person loses his or her reputation. And the person is not genuine human, and the person does not have a humane mind. Even though the person is a human, but the person has the mind that resembles to that of an animal. Lacking moral conduct, lacking concentration and wisdom, the person is not extraordinary person. And his or her business as well as family life will also be ruined. A person, even though a person may not be prestigious, what is more important is to have high moral conduct. When a person indulges in lobha, dosa, greed and hatred, when a person is mixed with misconduct, then one will be losing one's reputation as well as one's own moral conduct. And Sayadaw has explained about this lazy, indolent person who is losing his or her true benefit or welfare. And today Sayadaw will explain about arata viriya, a diligent person who is opposite of kusita. Buddha taught that arata viriya, a diligent person, is away from misconduct, because the diligent person does not indulge in these wrongful thoughts. The person fulfills and accomplishes the true, genuine benefit and welfare, and it is very noteworthy. The person who possesses effort, stage by stage, the person becomes accomplished in effort, and the person becomes possessor of effort. When the person becomes accomplished in effort, the person is free from wrongful thoughts. The person is free from kama vitaka, thoughts about sexual desire, vyavara vitaka, thoughts about ill will, and vihimsa vitaka, thoughts about cruelty. Because the person is free from these wrongful thoughts, the person lives in comfort and well-being. And the person is free from evil conduct and unwholesome deeds, and the person fulfills one's true benefit and welfare. And by practicing the three trainings, sila, samadhi, panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom, the person accomplishes true benefit. By practicing Sila, by fulfilling Sila, morality, one gains benefits that are basic. By practicing Samadhi, concentration, one's mind will be pure and clean. It is a benefit that is high and noble. And as the person continues to practice, the person develops Vipassana Jnana, insight knowledge, and Magga Jnana, path knowledge. When one attains Vipassana Jnana and Magga Jnana, one can uproot defilements, one can eradicate defilements. When the person gets to this stage, when the person has developed Magga Jnana, the person eradicates defilements, and at this stage, the person is said to be accomplished in Panya Sikkha, wisdom training. When the person has attained at least the first path knowledge, the person is said to be accomplished in Panya Sikkha, wisdom training, and the person becomes extraordinary person. So this is how a person who practices the Dhamma can become outstanding or extraordinary person. And today Saraji will explain, combining with theory and practice. In the word Arata Viriya, Saraji explains on the definition of Viriya. Viriya is translated in English as effort, but there is hidden meaning. And this hidden meaning is very noteworthy. Viriya comes from the word Vira. Vira means martyr or courageous person. When a person has to face difficulty or adverse conditions, rather than going forward to face it, if the person is withdrawing, then it shows the person is cowardly. A person who has self-confidence, who is courageous and brave to face any kind of difficulty or any kind of adverse conditions, is called a Vira, a brave, courageous person. The act of a courageous person makes others recognize him or her as a courageous person. And the person's act and behavior makes the person worthy of being called courageous person. That's why the state of being courageous or the action of a courageous person is called viriya. When one is making living, in order to earn for oneself or one's family, one needs to put effort. So when one is making a living, one has to face heat, cold, tiredness, and also other problems can be encountered in the surroundings. Whatever these adverse conditions are, one should be courageous to face them. Especially when one has to face enemy, even though one is capable, one should not withdraw from facing the enemy, and one should have courage Especially when coming to the meditation center to practice meditation, one should have the courage to give up or leave behind sensual pleasure. And one should have the courage to leave behind family members, business, friends, comfort, and so on. Having this courage to leave behind business, family members, comfort is called viriya, effort or courage. And before one arrives at the meditation center, there are some things that can make the person withdraw from joining the retreat. But one should not withdraw, one should not flinch back, but one should come forward courageously to join the retreat. A person who has courage can give up such things, but a person who is coward cannot give up such things. And when a person has a lot of attachment on things, the person will be reluctant to give up, and the person will be reluctant to come for meditation. Some people are attached in many things, thinking that without me they cannot go on. So if the person is having such thoughts, the person cannot undertake the practice. So that's why it is important to give up some things in order to join the retreat, and it is called parijaka, giving up worldly pleasure courageously. And when one can give up worldly pleasure in order to join the retreat, in place of giving up, one gains the kind of happiness that excels many times than the worldly happiness, and it is called parigaha, gaining Dhamma pleasure that excels many times than the worldly pleasure, and it is a victory. There is a saying in Burmese, if one wants to earn 1,000, one has to give up 100. So just like in the saying, when one wants to earn 1,000, one has to give up 100. In the same way, one needs to give up minor happiness in order to gain the kind of happiness that is genuine, that is true, that excels many times than the worldly happiness. The person who has the courage to leave behind, to give up the worldly pleasure in order to join the meditation retreat is called arata viriya. And especially one should have the courage to refrain from inferior action by body, speech and mind, and one should have the courage to perform good deeds by body, speech and mind, so that one's physical, verbal, mental behavior will be pure, clean and gentle. So one needs courage to refrain from things that should be refrained, and one needs courage to perform things that should be performed. And this is the kind of courage or the effort that is needed in order to prepare or in order to come for the meditation retreat. Usually, people are happy staying together with companions, especially people like the company of opposite sex. And some people, they keep pets, cats and dogs, love pets. So the kind of courage one needs in order to leave behind loved ones or pets is great. It is not insignificant. Knowing that there is the kind of happiness that excels so many times than the kind of happiness one can gain having companionship of a person sitting in a meditation retreat. And when they are here on a meditation retreat, they need to exert effort, the courage to be mindful every single second. If one does not exert effort, then this effort will not gain momentum, and thus the effort will not be complete. One will not be accomplished in effort, and thus sati, samadhi, panya, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom will not develop, and the person will not gain Dhamma, happiness. So Sayadaw says, one is not born with effort. One has to cultivate effort, and one needs to cultivate courage and effort. Leaving behind the worldly happiness, and here again in the retreat, if the person fails to gain Dhamma happiness, the person will be losing both the worldly happiness and the Dhamma happiness. When coming in this meditation retreat, in the meditation center, there is kaya viveka, seclusion from friends or seclusion from companionship. And it is very peaceful to have this seclusion from companionship. Even though one stays alone in the seclusion of companionship, but one may still be taking pleasure in the companionship of thoughts and imagination. Some people, they are happy with their thoughts and imagination. Knowing that there is the kind of happiness that excels so many times than the kind of happiness one can gain from thoughts and imagination, the person needs to exert effort in order to push the noting mind towards the presently arising object, moment by moment, second by second. When doing so, when one is exerting effort every single second in order to note the presently arising object, one should do so without regard to one's body and life. Apart from sleeping hours, one should be exerting ardent effort every single second. And Sayadaw says again, one is not born with ardent effort, one has to cultivate this ardent effort. Knowing the benefits of Satipatthana practice, one has faith and confidence on Satipatthana practice. Having faith and confidence on Satipatthana practice, one will have strong will, strong desire to practice Satipatthana meditation. And when coming to the retreat, there will be kaya viveka. The kaya viveka, there will be seclusion, being away from companionship. And the kind of happiness gained through kaya viveka will be gained automatically. A person who takes delight in thought and imagination, when the person knows that there is a kind of happiness that excels so many times, then the happiness gained through thoughts and imagination, the person should make effort to note the present arising object. One should be noting the present arising object, such as rising and falling of the abdomen. One should put effort so that the noting mind will stick onto the object of meditation. So one needs to exert effort in order that the noting mind reaches the object of meditation every single second. In practicing Vipassana meditation, it is not ordinary kind of effort that is needed, but Buddha said one needs atapa viriya, one needs ardent effort. One's effort should not be slack or cold, but one's effort should be ardent. And one should put effort, ardent effort, so that the person should always be active, alert, and ready to note the object every single second. So one needs to cultivate ardent effort. When doing sitting meditation, the meditator sits cross-legged, and when one breathes in, there is rising of the abdomen. In order that the noting mind reaches the rising of the abdomen, one should be alert, active. One should put ardent effort so that the noting mind reaches rising of the abdomen. And the person who exerts ardent effort is called atapi. And same goes with falling. When falling of the abdomen arises, one should be active, alert, and exert ardent effort, propelling the noting mind towards the falling of the abdomen. And thus, this ardent effort exerted is called atapa, and the person is called atapi. In order to become atapi, the person needs to exert effort, ardent effort, every single second. Exerting effort over and over again, this effort gains momentum, and the effort becomes stronger and stronger. As the person exerts effort moment by moment, there will be many moments of effort. If one counts one moment of effort per second, if the person can exert ardent effort for 1 minute, there will be 60 moments of ardent effort. If a person is able to exert ardent effort for 5 minutes, there will be 300 moments of ardent effort. And every minute there will be ardent effort exerted. When the preceding effort and the succeeding effort becomes continuous, there will be momentum in effort, and the person becomes arabdha virya, diligent person. If the person does not exert effort, one will not gain momentum in effort. That's why one needs to exert effort every single second. In the stage of udiyapaya jnana, in the stage of insight into fast arising and passing away of the object, arabdha virya, diligent effort, becomes amazingly strong, and the person needs to cultivate effort so that this ardent effort will be strong. In the beginning of practice, yogi has not developed effort, and yogi has not become alert or active. And at the beginning of the practice, yogi has not enough effort in order to propel the noting mind towards the presently arising object as soon as the object arises. For such kind of person who does not have effort is called anatapi. The person who does not have this ardent effort, his or her mind will be shrink, contracted, withdrawing from the practice, not wanting to exert effort, and it is called kosaja, laziness. And the person's action will be disgusting. The person will be disgustingly lazy, sluggish, not wanting to exert effort, flinching away from the practice. And such person will not be praiseworthy. If a person withdraws or flinches away from doing unwholesome deeds, the person is praiseworthy. But in this case, when the person withdraws from accumulating wholesome deeds, the person becomes disgusting, and thus the person is called kusita, and his or her laziness is called kosaja. When kosaja, laziness, creeps in, there will be obstacle in his or her practice, and also laziness will be developed. If the person is cold and sluggish for 1 minute, there will be 60 moments of laziness, and there will be thoughts, imaginations, and also one can have nitya vitaka, wrongful thoughts, entertaining lobha and dosa, greed and hatred. Failing to exert ardent effort, there will be failing to exert effort, one will feel lethargic, one will feel exhausted, wanting to withdraw from the practice, and thus laziness, kosaja, has crept in. If a person is cold and lazy, this person is inviting kilesa defilement. The person is entertaining, accepting kilesa defilement by being lazy, and the person fails to remove these defilements. Buddha used the word atapa, which is very beautiful. Sarati gives an example. In the body, there is blood flowing in the whole body, blood circulation. Only when the blood is nice and warm, there will be good blood circulation. When part of the body is subject to extreme cold, then there will be pain and ache, and the body where it is subject to extreme cold, the blood will congeal and blood clot will be formed. And at times, some blood clots can even cause death. That's why it is very important to keep oneself warm so that there will be good blood circulation. In the same way, in the mind also, one needs to keep the mind warm by putting heat of atapa effort. One needs to keep oneself warm by this heat of ardent effort. When there is ardent effort, the mind will be nice and warm, and also other good mental states will be developed. Just as a person needs to keep himself, herself warm in order to be healthy. In the same way, one needs to have ardent effort in order to keep one's mind healthy. So one needs this heat of ardent effort. The mind should not be cold, sluggish. The mind should not be sluggish, not wanting to exert effort, or being not wanting to exert effort, withdrawing from the practice. One should not have such kind of laziness. When one heats up the goal becomes pliable, gentle, so that it can be formed to a desired form. In the same way, one needs the heat of ardent effort so that the mind will be gentle and clean. Exerting ardent effort, the mind will be warm. If the person exerts ardent effort for 1 minute, the mind will be warm and heated for 1 minute. When there is heat, coldness cannot enter. Coldness cannot give trouble. In the same way, when there is this heat of atapa, viriya, when there is heat of ardent effort, the mind will be warm. There will not be coldness or laziness. When the mind is heated with atapa effort, when the mind is heated with ardent effort, laziness has no chance to arise. Ardent effort does not give any room for laziness. Atapa, ardent effort, does not accept laziness, and it is said that laziness is removed. If one does not exert ardent effort, there will be kilesa moisture, defilement moisture. Having atapa, ardent effort, this heat will not give any room for kilesa moisture to arise, and thus the mind will be dry, away from defilement moisture. Having atapa, ardent effort, the mind will be heated up so that the mind will be dry, away from defilement moisture, and thus kilesa defilements are repelled, and this ardent effort does not accept kilesa defilement. That's why one needs to exert ardent effort every single second so that one gains momentum in effort. And Saraji will continue to explain the next day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.